Hola, buenos días, Rigoberto. ¿Me escuchas?
I'm still working. Hi, James.
Inglés pues, okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay,
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. My last call was in Spanish, so I was ready to keep it rolling, but I guess we'll talk in English, no problem for me.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I really appreciate, James, what you're doing here in this platform. I think it's great information, and it has.
Sorry.
It's great information, and it has a lot of value for us, people that are trying to get into business. And it's a little bit complicated when you are dealing with international tax, and thus I really appreciate what you're doing here.
Hey, I'm happy you're enjoying and subscribe, liking all the videos and stuff, and happy to help you with your questions right now too. I see you have a couple here. In Mexico, right?
Yeah, so if I may, James, I can give you a context really quick.
Okay.
And basically it's going to give you some information. I have written a little bit, and I'm just gonna read it to you so we can move quickly. So my name is Rigoberto, right? And I have a mechanical engineering background, and I am a Mexican national living in the States. And I currently hold a professional worker visa, right? And hopefully soon I'll be quitting my job to start my own company. Now, my team and I and 5 foreign investors are raising capital to establish a manufacturing operation in Querétaro to build a product that will be shipped to a warehouse in the US for distribution. The investors will give us money in exchange of equity of both entities. The capital will be used to buy equipment and pay for the manufacturing operations in Mexico and for the US sales and distribution entity. Our business model comprises 2 entities. The Mexican entity will be a EMEX certified manufacturer and 1 American sales and distribution. So under the Biden tax plan, I think you might agree that Biden might become the president. So I see there's going to be quite a bit of taxes increase.
I think
corporate taxes.
Well, I think Biden is already won the presidency. I think that'll happen. That has happened. I'm not sold that he'll get a tax plan passed. He might not control the Senate, so I don't think. I don't know if he'll get a tax plan passed. I don't know if that's something he'll get done. So it's hard to. The U.S. is tricky because the laws are changing all the time, and tax laws too. So it's hard to base your business and what you're doing off of what you think might happen. You got to kind of roll with what's already here and then kind of be ready in case laws change. But it's a lot of speculation. There's enough to focus on just making your business work. But yeah, I just wanted to add that. You can keep going. Sorry.
That's fair. That's fair. So basically, I want to offer my investors a protection, a liability protection, and also to maximize earnings for them. So my question would be, what would it be the best legal entity in Mexico and the best legal entity in the US to accomplish what I'm planning to do?
With Mexico and with investors, I mean, for you, it probably would be to have a Mexican company, probably a SaaS in Mexico that owns the warehouse, because you're going to have operations physically in Mexico. So you need an independent Mexican company. And then in the US, probably still a corporation, just because it's easier with investors to have them buy stock. if it's like one person who's investing and you have to kind of talk with your investor and do whatever they want because they're the ones giving you the money and it doesn't really matter for you as a US resident. And it like kind of depends. If it's going to be like one or two investors and they're kind of partnering with you more than investing, they might be open to doing an S corp or something like that so that you could have pass through taxation on profits. What are you doing in the US with the US entity?
So we're going to be doing sales and distribution. So the
Okay.
product will come here into the warehouse in the US, and I could probably drop ship sometimes from Mexico. So I'm going to be overseeing the Mexican operations
Well, you're
because I am not, I have to correct you, I am not a resident, a US resident. Under the visa that I am now, once I leave my employer, then I will lose the visa. So I do have a social security, but I'm gonna lose my right of working in the US. So
what
I'm going to be in
are you?
Mexico overseeing
Oh,
the
you plan to go back to Mexico?
operation in Mexico. Yes, sir.
Okay, so then, and it's tough because Mexico and the U.S. communicate so much. So a lot of people would maybe open your own little LLC to get your own payments out of that. But if you're, who's managing the U.S. company then? The U.S. sales company.
It's going to be managed for one of my team members, which are one of the founders. So he has a lot of experience with the LLCs. He has a couple of LLCs by his own, and he's basically one also of the investors. So we still need to um, make that decision if it is going to be a member manage or is going to be manager manage
Well, I mean, if he's a member,
corporation.
he's going to be managing it to some extent. That doesn't really matter that much. Who's the manager, who's not. But it seems like your investor is going to be involved in this and kind of partnering with you. So you're kind of going to have to do what they want. They probably want an LLC or an S corp or something like that. You can't be, if it's an S
Mhm.
corp, you can't be a member when you leave. If you're going to be, you can't be an owner. So it would
Right.
have to be a corp or a partnership, a corp or an LLC. And as a non-resident, an LLC is kind of annoying like that because they're going to have to withhold taxes. So a corp is probably better, a corporation, and that way you can be an owner, and then they can just pay out most of the profits as like salaries and commissions and fees or whatever you want. And then you can have a separate LLC where you get paid that, or you can pay it to yourself personally in your own bank account, however you want to do it.
Understood. So I did understand that it cannot be S corp because I'm not a
I mean,
resident, right?
you are now, but you're planning to go back to Mexico, so it would
Correct.
it would lose the election.
Yes. Yes. So
And
so
again,
what we're talking about.
what you guys can do is you can have a corp that does all the operations, and you and the founder, however you guys are going to get paid, can just pay out salaries or whatever to your respective companies, and then have the corp kind of just be the operational tool, and then you just pay out the profits to each other.
Can you elaborate on that?
So you have Mexican company, fine. You have U.S. corporation, great. And then
Right.
you have Rigoberto here, and then
Right.
founder here. And then the corporation makes $1 million, pays you 200,000, pays investor 300,000. And then the corp net income is, I use a bad example, but the corp net income is say 100,000. And that way the corp pays less taxes and you guys can take out most of your profits and then pay taxes on your own in your own way.
Uh-huh. So you're saying that would that be like distributions out of the corp?
Well, you want to make it payments like salaries, wages, commissions, however you want to call it. You need to make it payments like that because if it's distributions, you have to pay corporate tax and then you have dividends. and it's more complicated and it's more taxes.
Mhm.
So you can use a corp, you just need to use it the right way. And I think a corp would be good, especially if you're going to be an owner and a non-resident. A corp would probably be easier from a compliance
Mhm.
perspective. You just have to make sure you guys pay yourselves.
Mhm. Correct. So the way I'm going to get paid would be through a separate LLC for
If you want,
for
or
my
if
participation.
yeah, if you want, that's a good way to do it. Then you can keep your profits and stuff separate and have your own US accounts that you keep separate. Because you wouldn't
So
you
and then
yeah. It's good to have your own
yeah,
companies.
go ahead. Okay, so the corporation will pay then to the investors, right? Directly.
It's a
You know,
complicated.
payments others.
Yeah, you have a complicated situation. You guys need to do good accounting, when you have partners and investors, you need good record keeping and good accounting, and you need to be on top of what you're going to be doing with the money, because you get busy and then it gets confusing, and then people don't get paid enough, or people get paid too much or whatever. And I mean, the tax things are important, and setting up two separate companies are good, but then having the information about how your operations are going and who's getting paid what, and then making sure you make the payments are just as important, probably more important than what kind of company you use.
Hmm. Hmm. Your company, how can your company help us in this process?
Well, what we do is um, help people like get started. It's like a concierge company opening business planning service. So, the call now is like a big a value thing that I would be doing more, like additional calls explaining, like reviewing your books with you, helping you decide how much people should get paid, just helping you arrange the financial decisions of your business. Obviously, I do the tax filings. That's something I can do, the tax filings, and then the company creation as well. But if you have a partner who's in the US who opens LLCs all the time, he can probably just open the company for you.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so I did visit a business lawyer, right? And I think I'm getting more value of your or of this call than my visit with the lawyer, and it cost me a lot more.
Oh, so I should have
So
charged for the call, you're saying, instead of put on YouTube?
so he talked about a serious LLC because I am here in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So he talked about the possibility of a serious LLC, uh, because we're gonna have two or three different products. So he was saying, if you want to separate liability,
Yeah, that's
right,
the attorney.
for
The
each
attorney.
product.
So the attorney's going to talk about legal liability, which is obviously an important thing. I don't know much about the products you're selling or the legal liability implied with that. So you would definitely want to talk to an attorney about the legal liability. And the Series LLC isn't a bad idea for if you do have high risk products or things like that. Um, but you're just
Yes,
getting
we do.
started. I don't know how much you're planning to invest and stuff like that. So don't disregard the legal the attorney's legal advice. I'm more talking about tax advice. I like to make operations
Hmm.
simple, and my advice is more because I've seen so many people get bogged down in the details of the companies that they forget about what they're doing. So I try and keep the operations simple so that you can
Hmm.
focus on making money with your
Hmm.
business, and then in the US you can always change things and fix stuff about taxes later. I mean, it's important to do it right
Awesome.
when you start, but
Yes.
that's how I like to do stuff.
No, and this is great advice, James, because sometimes ignorance just freezes up, right? We don't want to do the next step because
Yeah.
we're afraid that we're gonna get in trouble. So when you put it this way, uh, it really helped us out to keep on moving, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Keep on moving.
The companies don't matter that much right now. I mean, you need the companies, but obviously you need a viable business more than you need a legal entity. The legal entities
Correct.
help
Yes.
protect you from, like, exposure and stuff, but you have no risk right now
Correct.
because you have no product and you're not selling anything, so there's no risk at all.
Right, right. So he did also mention the corporation, and he did mention about the taxes. So my next question will be about the investors. I do have a foreign investors uh, that I think it won't be a problem because either LLC or corp can uh, can accept foreign investors as myself, right?
Are you going to set it up as a loan or as like equity?
No, it's going to be in exchange of equity.
So I'm just saying when you have a corporation, it's generally easier with foreign investors in terms of how everything is set up, and especially with Mexico, because the dividend rate in Mexico is only 5%, as a treaty rate withholding. So it's not that, I know you probably have to pay taxes in Mexico on it, but when you have the LLC, it's here's what happens. When you have an LLC and you clearly have U.S. partners, you have U.S. business here because you have U.S. partners and you'll have U.S. employees. In the LLC, what happens is let's say the company, again, will use makes $1 million, and you have 50% of the owners, half of the owners are foreign people. The LLC, the partnership, is required to send 37% of the profits attributed to the foreign partners to the IRS as like payments, as withholding taxes. So it would be what's that? $170,000. You'd have to, if you made $1 million, and 50% to the foreign partners, you'd have to send like $170,000 to the IRS for withholdings, and then you'd still technically be required to pay tax on that in Mexico, and then you'd have to file probably try and claim a credit in Mexico because you're paying taxes in the U.S., but then you have to file a U.S. return to request a refund for the tax overpayment. So all of that can be avoided if you just use a corporation. Like about making sure you don't double pay the taxes because it's passed through in Mexico. So an LLC is passed through and you pay tax where like and if you live in Mexico and you have pass through income, you're supposed to pick it up in Mexico, but you're also required to withhold taxes in the US. And then you have to request a credit in Mexico and a refund in the US. And to do it right, it gets really cumbersome, and most international businesses with foreign investors use corporations to avoid those headaches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, as a SSA in Mexico, what's the tax rate for that type of entity?
In Mexico?
Yes.
Mm,
If it is on top of your head.
I don't know, but I can look it up in 30 seconds. It says 30%. All corporate entities, including
Wow.
associations of civil nature branches, are subject to tax rules applicable to Mexican corporations, which is 30% corporate income tax. And I know there's other taxes too, but that's from PwC has good tax summaries. All the big four firms have big tax summaries for each country that are really good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm thinking to do, maybe it's first of all, I'm going to figure it out what country requires less taxes to be paid on the profit, and then so I can plan my pricing, because what I'm thinking is the Mexican entity is going to be selling to the US entity, right?
Yeah.
So that way I can decide how much profit I'm going to be capturing.
So that's not a new idea, deciding your prices to determine where your profits are going to be. That's actually a big issue between the countries. It's called transfer pricing. And that's the only thing that the IRS really checks for. And what you're required to do is have everything priced at market rates. And you can do studies called a transfer pricing study, where basically a company will get we'll do research, and they can make the research favorable toward your objectives. But you know, if that's what you're supposed to do, because technically you can't just pick where you're going to pay your taxes. You need to have do everything at arm's length and charge market prices for things, and then you know, pay taxes that way. So there should be probably some profit in Mexico, but what you can always do is, you know, pay out commission. Like the pricing of the products is one thing, but then you can pay out commissions and salaries and invest in other things. There's other ways to do it, but manipulating the price of the main transactions is really the only thing that they check. And both,
Okay,
because Mexico,
I do appreciate that.
yeah, because both Mexico and the United States want you to pay tax in their country. And they both will say you're overpricing, you're underpricing, you're picking up more gains there, you know. So that's like a thing for international, for wholesale.
Oh, okay.
Essentially.
Okay, I didn't know that, but it makes sense. They will consider that as a manipulating. So so the IMEX. Are you familiar with Prosecco and IMEX certification in Mexico?
No, IMX.
Yeah, it's the Maquiladora program.
Okay.
Those incentives that are given, you know, to promote
I have
export.
listen, I have a really good Mexican attorney I work with really closely, who's a tax attorney, but he's like me. He's like has a smaller firm, so he's knows a lot more random, like a lot more stuff. So I can definitely refer you to him so you can talk to him about the Mexican business.
Yeah, let's do that, because I have some questions regarding
Yeah,
that.
it's better to just ask him because he's really accessible. I'm gonna send you an email because if I don't do it now, I'm gonna forget. David.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So X, and he speaks English too for me, so I can make it a little easier. Compose. I'm gonna introduce him to you. I have Rigoberto at Disrupted VP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna just put him on the email. Mexican tax advice. David. Okay, I was just sending a really basic email. I'm pretty close with him. Okay, so great. I just sent an email, so now you have his email, and you can ask him about your tax questions there. So I mean, it's probably better that way.
Okay, James, that's all I got.
Thank you. I have another call. I stack them. I do 2.5 hours of 30-minute calls. So it was nice to meet you. Thanks for watching the channel. You've seen my Spanish and my English channel, right?
I know. Yeah. Okay. It's great. Thank you for doing that.
I'm trying to keep my subscribers going and try and make it bigger, because I'm probably just gonna constantly giving away all the information. It's better for me. I'll just work with the people who want to work with me and give everyone else all the free stuff.
Yeah, keep it up. Is very helpful for us, because it's not easy to find this kind of value on YouTube.
Well, again, thanks again for watching, liking, and sharing all the videos, and I'll let me know how it goes.
Thank you, James.
Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
you.
See ya.
Have a good one. Bye.
So I think that call went really well. Rigoberto had great questions about Mexican manufacturing companies and how to do business with international and U.S. investors, and I think it's all good information. So if you are in this situation, comment below, and happy to help. I don't really have many times on the calendar schedule calls, but you can try. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be in there for the other videos that come. Okay. See you guys on the next one. I have to do an intro too. I'm coming. Go.